Have you ever met someone who could make an entire room laugh, but somehow looked strangely empty when everyone finally went home? Maybe it's the friend who is always checking on everyone else but never talks about themselves. The coworker who jokes through every stressful meeting. The family member who says, "I'm fine," with a smile that somehow feels heavier than tears. Perhaps you've even been that person. You wake up, put on your smile like it's part of your morning routine, answer every message with cheerful words, laugh at the right moments, and convince the world that everything is okay. But deep inside, something feels different. It's like standing on a stage every single day, performing a role so well that eventually even you begin to forget where the performance ends, and where the real you begins. Most people think smiling means someone is happy. But the truth is, some of the brightest smiles are carefully built shields, designed to hide battles that no one else can see. The smile isn't always proof of joy. Sometimes it's proof of survival. Today, we're going beneath that smile. We'll explore why some people become experts at hiding emotional pain, what psychology reveals about this hidden behavior, and more importantly, how someone can slowly stop living behind a mask without losing the strength they've worked so hard to build. Because beneath every mask, there is still a human being waiting to breathe. Imagine an iceberg floating in the ocean. Everyone sees the beautiful white surface above the water. But nearly 90% of it remains invisible below. Human emotions often work the same way. Carl Jung believed that every person develops what he called a persona, a social mask created to help us fit into the world. The persona isn't evil. It's necessary. We all behave differently at work than we do with close friends. But problems begin when the mask becomes permanent. When someone feels that only the smiling version of themselves deserves love, the mask slowly replaces the face underneath. Think about someone who grew up hearing things like, "Stop crying. Be strong. Don't make problems for others." As an adult, they may smile during painful moments without even realizing they're doing it. The smile has become automatic. Not because they're okay, but because their brain learned that showing pain wasn't safe. And this leads us to the first hidden psychological mechanism. The first hidden mechanism: they become emotional caretakers. People who hide their own pain often become incredibly skilled at caring for everyone else's. This isn't just kindness. Sometimes it's protection. Attachment theory tells us that children who receive love only when they're helpful or emotionally easy may grow into adults who believe their value depends on taking care of others. Their emotional radar constantly scans the room. Who's upset? Who needs help? Who might leave? It's like becoming a lighthouse that guides every ship safely home while quietly cracking apart from the endless storms. Imagine your friend notices you're stressed before you even say a word. They bring you coffee, listen for hours, encourage you, and somehow always know exactly what to say. But when you ask how they're doing, they laugh. They change the subject. Or they say, "I'm good." Not because they're lying intentionally. Because somewhere deep inside, they've learned that other people's emotions matter more than their own. The hidden consequence is heartbreaking. When you're always rescuing others, no one realizes you also need saving. And eventually, loneliness grows even inside crowded rooms. But emotional caretaking is only one piece of the puzzle. The next mechanism is even quieter. The second hidden mechanism: they fear becoming a burden. Our brains are designed for connection. From an evolutionary perspective, being rejected by the group once meant losing protection and survival. Although modern life has changed, our nervous system still reacts strongly to social rejection. The amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, can interpret criticism, abandonment, or emotional distance almost like physical danger. If someone has experienced rejection after opening up in the past, their brain remembers. Not as a story, but as a warning. Imagine someone who once shared their struggles only to hear, "You're too sensitive," or "Everyone has problems." Years later, every time they consider opening up again, their emotional alarm begins flashing. Instead of speaking honestly, they smile. The smile becomes a security system. It says, "Don't worry about me. even when everything inside is quietly falling apart. It's like living inside a beautiful theater. The audience sees the polished performance. Backstage, the actor is exhausted. Over time, this constant emotional suppression creates another invisible cost. The body begins carrying emotions the voice never releases. Which brings us to something neuroscience has studied for years. The third hidden mechanism: the body remembers what the mouth doesn't say. Many people believe emotions disappear if we ignore them. Psychology suggests the opposite. Research on emotional suppression shows that constantly pushing emotions away often increases stress rather than reducing it. The brain keeps spending energy trying to hold uncomfortable feelings underwater. Imagine trying to keep a beach ball beneath the surface of a swimming pool. The harder you push, the more pressure builds. Eventually, the ball shoots back up. Our emotions behave similarly. Someone may appear calm all day, but later they experience unexplained anxiety, sleepless nights, constant fatigue, headaches, or emotional numbness. Cognitive behavioral therapy explains that avoiding difficult emotions doesn't remove them. Instead, avoidance often strengthens the fear surrounding those emotions. Think of someone who smiles through months of work stress. They tell everyone they're fine. Then one tiny inconvenience, a spilled coffee or forgotten email, suddenly makes them burst into tears. People around them think they're overreacting. But in reality, they're reacting to months of unspoken emotion finally breaking through the wall. The hidden consequence isn't weakness. It's emotional overload. And after years of carrying invisible pain, something else quietly begins to happen. The fourth hidden mechanism: they lose connection with their real self. Freud once compared hidden emotions to pressure beneath the surface. Modern psychology describes something similar through emotional avoidance and identity conflict. When someone spends years acting okay, they eventually stop asking themselves one important question: what do I actually feel? The mask becomes so familiar that removing it feels frightening. It's like standing in front of a mirror that has been covered for years. At first, seeing your real reflection feels unfamiliar. Imagine someone who is always described as positive. Everyone expects them to be cheerful. One day they feel deeply sad. But instead of expressing it, they immediately force another smile because they don't want to disappoint anyone. Slowly, they begin living for expectations instead of authenticity. The consequence is painful. Not because they're pretending, but because they've forgotten what life feels like without pretending. The prison was never built by other people alone. Brick by brick, they helped build it themselves. The good news? Every prison has a door. And psychology shows us that healing rarely begins with dramatic life changes. It begins with surprisingly small moments of honesty. Let's explore how. The first step: stop asking, "How should I feel?" Instead, ask, "What am I actually feeling right now?" This simple question activates self-awareness instead of automatic performance. Psychologists often encourage emotional labeling because naming an emotion helps calm the brain's emotional centers while increasing activity in areas responsible for reflection and regulation. Imagine finishing work after an exhausting day. Instead of automatically saying, "I'm okay," pause. Maybe you're disappointed. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you're simply tired. Giving emotions accurate names removes much of their hidden power. You can't solve a mystery if you refuse to identify the clues. Become a detective of your own inner world. The second step: let safe people see small pieces of the real you. Healing doesn't require telling everyone your deepest secrets. Trust grows gradually. Think of a cocoon. Transformation doesn't happen because the butterfly suddenly flies. It happens because it slowly changes inside a protected space. Choose one trusted friend. Instead of saying, "Everything's fine," try saying, "It's been a difficult week." That's enough. Small honesty creates emotional safety. And every positive experience teaches your brain that vulnerability doesn't always lead to rejection. The third step: stop measuring your worth by how useful you are. Many people who hide pain secretly believe they must earn love through constant giving. But healthy relationships aren't transactions. They're connections. Imagine visiting a friend. You don't expect them to entertain you every second. Sometimes simply sitting together is enough. Offer yourself that same compassion. You deserve care even on days when you have nothing to give. Your value has never depended on how perfectly you carry everyone else's weight. The fourth step: allow joy and pain to exist together. People often believe healing means becoming happy all the time. Real psychology tells a different story. Emotionally healthy people don't avoid sadness. They make room for it. Think of the sky. Storms pass through it. Sunshine also fills it. The sky doesn't fight either one. Your mind can learn the same flexibility. You can smile because something beautiful happened today, while still grieving something painful from yesterday. Both emotions can exist together. That isn't confusion. That's emotional maturity. The fifth step: remember that strength is not the absence of tears. For years, society has confused emotional silence with emotional strength. But true resilience isn't built by hiding pain. It's built by facing it without letting it define you. Every time you acknowledge your emotions instead of running from them, you're teaching your nervous system a new lesson. You're telling your brain, I am safe enough to be honest. And slowly, the mask becomes lighter. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you're no longer carrying two lives at once. The one everyone sees, and the one you secretly suffer through. In the end, the people who smile through pain are not weak. In many ways, they become incredibly strong. The problem is that they've spent so much energy protecting everyone else from their sadness that they've forgotten they deserve protection too. The strongest lighthouse still needs maintenance. The strongest shield eventually becomes heavy. And even the brightest smile deserves moments of rest. So if you've been hiding behind a smile for longer than you can remember, know this. You don't have to remove the mask all at once. You only need enough courage to lift one corner. Because healing rarely begins with a dramatic breakthrough. It usually begins with one honest conversation, one quiet moment, or one simple sentence. I'm not okay today. And surprisingly, that sentence often becomes the first step toward finally becoming okay. As Carl Jung wisely suggested, we don't become whole by pretending darkness doesn't exist. We become whole by learning to face it with awareness and compassion. If this video helped you understand yourself or someone you love a little better, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Your story might remind someone else that they are not alone. If you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind human behavior, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a future episode. Thank you for watching until the end. This is MentaraX, keep exploring the hidden psychology of the human mind. I'll see you in the next video.